Welcome to the show. My name is Chris Doe. We are going to be talking about how to teach what you know. Hopefully you guys have just watched our episode on social media and how to get started. So now that you have some of the framework, the tips, I actually want to dive deep and actually teach you how to break down what you know and to teach it to others. That's what we're going to do. Guess what? This is unscripted, unedited. This must be raw. Roll the title. All right, we're back, and it worked. You guys, good job. Before I go into the show, how's my lighting? Do I look good? All right. This is their number one job, is to make me look good. So hopefully I'm looking good, coming in loud and strong and clear. We're going to be on Facebook, YouTube, and on Twitch. You guys, we're going to call for you in a second. That's cool. You're not Chris, though. Take that title off. What are you doing? It's a fumble. Okay, let's introduce the team. You guys might see a new face, and on camera, introduce yourself, Molly.
Hi guys, I'm Molly. I'm new here at the Futur, and I'm the first designer on their team.
Oh my god. Sorry, those aren't working. Those aren't
Okay,
working.
forget that.
I'm not gonna use those.
Oh my
Forget
god.
it.
All right, Aaron, just say.
All right, I'm Aaron, and I do
into
the visual,
mic. Into the mic.
I do the visual cutting of the show, and these are my two teammates here, Molly, and over here to my right.
What's up, guys? I'm Mark Contreras. I'm a cinematographer. I like to edit, and I also do the marketing here.
I'm a cinematographer
Awesome.
too, by the way.
Aaron, are you happy to be here?
Very happy.
What happened to our rehearsal? Okay, never mind. This
Still
is
happens.
unscripted. We do try to rehearse, you guys. Believe it or not, it is a calamity of errors. That's what we do here. Anyways, we're gonna dive in. So, how am I gonna do this? I want to share with you guys. I have just a few basic techniques. I have a few basic techniques on how to break down something that you do by intuition. Like most creative people, whether you're a designer, an architect, photographer, an illustrator, a fine artist, you do things because they feel right in your gut and something is guiding you. If you're a sculptor, you work on something and at some point you decide it's done. But what happens if you have to actually teach somebody how to do that? And if you're able to do that, can you break those parts down into like little pieces so that you can then feed them into your social channels, whether it's on Facebook, on YouTube, or on Twitter, or whatever it is, on Instagram? I want to talk about that. So I'm going to buy us a little time. I'm going to do a session with Mark Contreras. He's the editor, cinematographer. He does a lot of different things, but one thing that he does do is he shoots wedding videos. Is that what we call them, Mark? Wedding videos? Yep. Okay. Now, I know you shoot a lot of other things like explainer videos, brand films, interviews, all kinds of things. But for today, for the purpose of what we're doing, we're going to talk about wedding videos. And then at some point in our conversation, I'm going to cue you guys to tell me what you do, and I'll help break down your process and to show you how it's done. And we'll do that through Facebook this time. Mark, I'm still hearing my speaker for some reason, but that's okay. Maybe what I'm going to do is I'm going to quit. No, I'm going to leave it on. That's fine. It's a little chiming notifications on Facebook. It's bothering me a little bit. Anyways, Mark, let's break down what you do, Mark. Now, you're a, what do we call it? Like a wedding?
Yeah, well, a private, independent videographer, but I shoot wedding videos as one of the aspects of that.
Okay, you're an independent videographer?
Yep.
Okay. And we're going to focus today specifically on, you guys seeing my screen?
Yep.
As I'm writing? Cool.
We can see it.
Excellent, excellent. Okay, you're an independent videographer. I kind of wrote a little bit crooked there. Let me erase this sucker. All right. Let me make that a little bit bigger in the brush. You guys, we're using new tools. We're always keeping ourselves on the edge here, always testing new technology. I got an awesome Wacom Cintiq here. I'm going to be working with this. That way you guys can see me whiteboarding this thing. So Mark, we've never talked about like how you can teach what it is that you do. So we're going to break it down today, right? So typically what we want to do is take the whole, if you want to teach somebody how to shoot wedding videos and to do a really great job from the beginning to the end to delivery, let's try and break that down into 3 or 5 chunks. Okay, can you think of those 3 or 5 chunks, Mark?
Yep.
All right, so what would those things be?
Let's see, I would...
Aaron, cut to my screen.
Start
Focus.
by working on the pre-production.
Okay, so we'll call this pre-pro. Okay, hold on. Pre-production. Okay.
And
Hopefully you guys can read my handwriting.
yeah, the very last step I would say is the post, but there's two main things between that. So
Okay, so
let's
like
say-
4 things. So like, and the last is post.
Yep.
Okay. And post-production, for people who don't know, what is that?
That's the editing,
Okay.
the sound design, the final touches.
Color correction, all that kind of stuff.
Yep.
That's
And
where the
then-
magic happens.
Right, and then between that is the storytelling and the cinematography. I think those are the
Story and cinematography. Cinematography. Sorry, I had a little brain freeze there. Cinematography. Okay. Which one of these things should we break down? Just because, for the sake of the show, we don't want to sit here and spend all the time breaking down every single thing. It could take us hours to do this. What should we do? What should we focus on, Mark?
let's talk about story. I think that's going to be relevant for a lot of people.
Okay, let's do story then. So what we're going to do now is we're going to break story down into smaller bite-sized chunks. Okay, what constitutes a good story for you? What are we talking about here?
I think it could boil down into a few key things.
Mm-hmm.
Building the anticipation
Okay,
of the story.
anticipation. I like that word. Anticipation. Okay.
And for a wedding video specifically, there's the first meet when the couple sees each other for that day.
Okay, so we'll call it the first meeting. Is that okay?
Yep.
All right. I get it. Next.
And then you go into the actual ceremony. So whether it's the church or wherever that may be.
Okay. Ceremony.
And
Keep
then
going.
the celebration.
The celebration. This is the party afterwards, the reception.
Exactly.
Okay. Celebration. All right. Is that it?
Yep.
Okay. Of these things, which one is the most interesting for us to talk about?
Let's see. I think the anticipation that builds the story foundation.
Okay. And I just want to ask you a question. Why is that one the one that you want to pick? The anticipation.
I think it's building up to the climax. Every story needs sort of a build up to that point.
Okay. Where would you describe the climax being?
That leads up into that first meeting.
Oh, so for wedding videos, that's where all the energy, the excitement, and the emotion is?
Right.
I thought it was the
kiss.
ceremony.
Yeah. And the
The
ceremony
kiss.
too.
Okay.
But yeah.
You may kiss the bride.
You may kiss the bride,
Boom,
you pull the veil
fireworks.
back, and they kiss for the first time. I mean, in modern age, they don't really kiss for the first time there, technically, obviously.
Right.
But traditionally, historically, that's when they first embrace, and it's all official in the eyes of man and God and country and family. That's when it's official.
Right.
Okay.
I guess I'd call it the big announcement when they are announced as husband and wife.
Okay.
Yeah.
I have a theory here, Mark. My theory is this, is that anticipation, first meeting, ceremony, and celebration, we're all very familiar with the first meeting, like when the groom goes to the bride's house, right, and asks her father to marry. That's what we're talking about, the first meeting,
Yeah.
right? And
Or
then,
sometimes it's the first look of that day. Traditions have changed a little bit, so sometimes they'll see each other before they actually see each other at the ceremony.
okay. And then there's a ceremony, which is if you're in like Western religion in Catholic Church, then we kind of know what that looks like. You say your vows, there's a little ceremony, you exchange rings, the whole bit.
Yep.
So we kind of know what that looks like. And the celebration can be a little different. So for me, I see the most room for creativity in the first part of the story and the last part of the story. Otherwise, the rest of it is kind of pretty formulaic. So
Right.
I'm thinking in my mind right now, if you're going to go and create a course and you want to teach or you want to write an article about wedding videography, I would focus it on either the anticipation or the celebration, because that's where you have the most room to flex and exercise your creative muscles. Would you guys say that's true?
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Remember, you guys are allowed to say things, and
Yeah, okay, now
people
you,
following.
you give me permission to say things.
I've said it for 2 years now, Aaron. I've said you can say anything you want. Go ahead.
So what about the first meeting and the ceremony? What makes those two different than anticipation and celebration that make them not so good?
It's not that they're not so good. We're just looking for room to teach people to share what Mark has learned having shot wedding videos for years now.
Okay, so the ceremony in the first meeting is just like super standard.
Yeah, it's pretty standard.
pretty
material.
standard. Okay.
Mark, you're not coming that clear in your audio. Can you bring your mic in closer, or just make sure you're speaking into it, okay?
Yep.
All right, you guys need to be close to your mics because I can hear it differently. It sounds different in my ear. Okay. Very good. So, Mark, which one of these should we focus in on?
I think the anticipation.
Anticipation?
Yeah.
I just realized something.
What?
I wrote this down wrong. Let me erase this and fix this part. It's cinematography, not cinematographer. Oh, I don't want that. Get away from me. Rush. Cinematography. Okay, anticipation. I like that too, and I'm gonna follow your. Oops. I'm gonna follow your lead on this. Yikes!
Uh-oh.
Come on.
What's
Alright.
going on? Trouble in paradise there?
Always trouble in paradise, my friend. Okay, let's break down the anticipation. What does anticipation look like to you?
So I could break it down into a few things. I think there's
Okay.
like a pensive mood that goes into it. It's all mysterious because you're waiting to see what happens.
Okay. I'm a little confused right now, so let me just think about this for a second. Just for people who don't know, who haven't been shooting wedding videos, or maybe they're kind of young and they haven't gone to a whole lot of weddings, when we talk about anticipation, historically speaking, is it where there's the whole bride and the bridesmaid and what they do,
Right.
and then there's the groom and the groomsmen and what they do, and then when they first meet, that's the big first meeting, right? That's the big moment, the first big moment. Is that right, Mark?
That'd be the first big moment.
Okay, so you're trying to capture these two people, and they're in very different worlds, right?
Right.
Okay, and then eventually going to come together.
Right.
All right, this is an opportunity for me just to do a quick illustration here. I want to use a metaphor for you guys for a second. I'm going to turn this on, turn this off. Okay. Now, I've used this when I teach sequential design and storyboarding. What I say is there's A and there's B, and they're going to meet, okay? They're going to meet somewhere in here. And we're referring to this as the first meeting. And so this is, let's say this is the bride. And this is the groom. And he has his friends, right? And his family. And
Oh, I got it.
the bride has the same thing. Friends and family, right?
Yep.
And these are adults. At this point, they're at least 18 and up. So they're kind of living in the adult place. So let me draw a little icon here. Let's say that's female icon. And let me draw the male icon here. Kind of like the bathroom, right?
And so people are asking what we're doing here. So
What the heck are we doing?
Yep.
If you're just joining us, what we're trying to do is to transfer knowledge. Like Mark has a lot of information and experience in shooting videos for weddings and other things. And what we want to do is try to understand his process. And what I'm doing is diagramming it and trying to break it down. And when you break it down, you can teach somebody what you know. So just hang in there, you guys. You'll figure this thing out. And we're going to do it for you guys live too. So if you want to teach a lettering course, typography course, or maybe something on social media or editing, you can follow along the same process, I think. This is an experiment, you guys. We're just having an evening together on a Wednesday night. All is good in the world, right? And we want to try to share different kinds of information with you guys in this platform and see how it works. I'm trying to recreate the classroom experience that Molly and I have had together as student
Yes,
and
we
teacher,
have.
right? And so we'll see.
Great
right?
experience.
Thank you, Molly.
So I just wanted to clarify, like, where did this idea come from? Like, why are we here? Why are we doing this?
What do you mean?
Like, what brought this on?
What brought this on? Well, I'm getting a little tired of talking about how to negotiate a deal. We've done a lot of role playing on client vendor relationships. We've done enough of that. I want to start teaching people how to teach so that they can go and start to build a social media following and to build up their brand. Because I just did a video on what you should post, how you should post, the kind of content, quality beats, frequency, you want engagement, you want to do all those kinds of things.
show your process.
So ultimately, we're showing the process.
Okay, so that's what this is about. It's whatever you do, it's how to show people what you do and how you do it.
Yeah.
So that you can get
So you
more
can
work
teach.
or eyeballs or...
Right.
That's something that I always remembered in your class, Chris. You said, I'm going to teach you at the end of this class how to teach this class.
Ooh, did I say that?
said something like that.
My God, that's a big promise.
It's, instead of giving us a fish, giving us a fishing rod by the old saying.
Yes, the
Okay,
old
so
biblical expression.
getting on with it now, we're good, right?
Well, I believe that's what the show is called. It's called Teach What You Know, and I'm showing you how to teach what you know. And we're going to take the mysterious process, the intuition, the gut feeling on how you do what you do, and take a moment to break it down so that you can explain it to other people. That's the goal here, okay? So hang in there, you guys. All right, let's come back to my screen here. So there's this first meeting concept, right? And the way I kind of think about it, and Molly's going to know this, is there's a train, and that train is speeding, say, from Los Angeles, and there's another train here on the same track, theoretically. They're not going to crash in a violent way, but they're going to meet. So that's one of these fancy bullet trains, okay? It looks funny. This is from New York. And they're heading, and somewhere they'll meet in the middle of the country somehow. And what we want to do is, what we want to know is, so this is the bride as an adult right here. Right?
Yep.
And this is the groom as an adult. What I want to know is the story before they met. That's the story, because that's what we don't know.
Mm-hmm.
We don't know what the bride was like, the bride was like when she was a kid, if she was a tomboy, if she always loved flowers, and if there's any kind of weird, funny, quirky little things, that's her story. And I've talked about this before. If you want to know me, you must know my story. So we have to tell her story. This is where all the creativity is, and this is where you can surface things that are going to resonate with people, that get that emotion out. And people who are attending the wedding, and if they're able to see the video, like if you're doing a same-day edit, it's going to make them get the feels. They're going to say, "Aw, I didn't know that." And then how they meet in college and all these kinds of things. It's going to be awesome. So what we want to do is capture this as much as we can. All right, let's go back to, what am I doing? I want to hide this layer. Go back to this. Okay, we're back here, you guys. You guys remember this?
Yep.
Yes.
All right, we're good so far. Okay, so that's why when Mark says pensive, we need a little context as to what the heck are we talking about pensive for, right?
Oh, I think I know what that means. Maybe he means like faces. Like shots of people's faces.
Well, people thinking.
Yeah.
Mark,
Yeah,
how else
You're
can we show this?
You're showing the emotion. You're showing people's, like,
Okay, how do you show pensive?
you show them maybe shuffling their hands. Maybe they're pondering out.
Okay, hold
and
on.
looking at
I don't
something.
write that fast.
Yep.
So Aaron said faces. Close-ups, right?
Mm-hmm.
Close-ups of expressions.
Okay. What else?
You show them sort of thinking to themselves, pondering.
Okay, that's another word for pensive. So pensive is thinking. But visually, how do you see that? How do you see that in terms of a real thing?
You see interactions with their family.
Okay, family. Okay, what else?
If you want to show a little bit of the past, maybe you show some video of them as a kid or photos of them as a kid.
Okay, so photos. Okay, this is like the scrapbook thing, right?
Right.
Okay, cool. That's good. Scrapbook. Okay. And then
a
you
lot
can
of
do a
solo
little
shots.
Ken Burns thing on that, right? You can do a little Ken Burns.
Right.
Solo shots.
Yeah,
Okay.
solo shots.
But solo shots doing what? Give me an action.
It's like them walking out in the distance. Maybe it's a shot of them from behind.
Okay. So we're talking about now a wide shot, right? Solo. Okay. What else?
Maybe they're walking off into a distance.
Okay. Walking to the horizon.
Another visual way I like to see that is showing silhouettes.
Oh, okay. Silhouettes. Let's see if I know how to spell silhouettes. I think that's how you spell it. Internet smart. They'll figure it out. That's an H.
Looks right.
Okay. Silhouettes. What else can you show?
I think those are some of the key things.
Okay, let me think here. Because I'm also a filmmaker myself, I'm thinking about what else you can show to see somebody thinking. How about abstract things? You ever do that? Like, grass blowing, somebody touching the tips of the grass blade, like tall grass.
Yeah, I cut a lot of B-roll into those sections also.
Okay.
Maybe it's some scenery, but something to make you think of the actual environment from that day.
Okay, so we'll say like mood. We
Yeah.
want to show things that show mood. If there's a great book written by Scott McCloud called Understanding Comics, and he talks about the differences between American comics and Japanese or Eastern comics, and they do a much better job of showing the senses: smell, sound, touch, taste. So it's not just all visual and action. So think about what you can do to set the mood. And now when I think about mood, I'm thinking like metaphor. Okay, because we want to tell the story of the bride and the groom when they were much younger.
Right.
So metaphor, I'm like grooving on this right now. I'm just something's happening here. I think
it's clicking.
something's happening. All right, metaphor.
What do you mean metaphor? What is it? I don't understand.
Metaphor is something that represents something else.
I mean, I know what a metaphor is, but in
Why
the
you asking
context
me what's
of
a
a wedding
metaphor?
video.
Okay. Well, let's talk about this now. If you guys think, let's do a little creative
Oh,
exercise.
I have an example of exactly how I've done it in a video.
Okay. Wait, before you say that, let me just answer Aaron's question.
Yeah.
We're going to do an exercise as you guys play along, and Mark's going to tell us what he's done since he's experienced doing this. But try to just think back. What are like little moments that stick out from your childhood when you're a teenager? Think about that for a second. Replay the tape in your mind. What pops up? They're big moments in your life. Okay, Mark, what kind of shots are you talking about now?
Yeah, so regarding the metaphor and the couple meeting each other, there was a wedding that I shot and they had a koi pond. And I luckily got these two fish meeting and converging together.
Okay.
And that worked directly
No,
as a
that's
metaphor
a
for them.
metaphor for coming together. Oh, gotcha.
Right.
Okay. Anything else? We're looking for visual cues, things that represent other things. What the heck is that? Aaron, I don't know how to... Don't know. Aaron, I don't know how to turn this nonsense off.
What nonsense.
Oh, that thing on the side.
Yeah,
there?
like what the heck? Why did it just pop out?
I don't know. I think it's at the very top right corner. Top right corner. No, all the way up. All the way up. There.
Okay, thank you. All right. Good eyes, dude. Good eyes.
Yeah.
Those are young eyes there. I didn't even see that. And Aaron's squinting on the display here. Okay, so we talk about koi fish. You guys, each one of you guys throw out a memory from when you were a kid, a sweet memory, not a horrible memory. Because we want to open the audience up to their family before they meet each other.
I remember one. Because my dad used to wear a mustache all the time.
Yeah.
And then one day he shaved it off. And I freaked out.
Oh, that's excellent, actually. Because
Yeah.
shaving is a rite of passage. You know that?
Oh, interesting.
Shaving is, okay, so we're going to say shaving. So you could do, I want you guys to visualize this in your mind right now. If you show a shot of somebody, very close-up shots of the razor blade, like a single razor, old school one, none of this Mach 10 thing, and the shaving cream, how you whip it up and it's like all foamy.
Yeah,
And then
yeah.
you rinse it off underneath the sink and like little hair goes down the drain. Those are beautiful little moments. And you can show the father getting ready and looking from down below upwards as if we're the boy again and we're seeing our father. See?
That's good.
You see how it gets you right
dude.
here, Aaron?
Yeah,
That's
I know what
good
I'm talking about.
You've seen a couple of shaving commercials.
I have not. I've just painted this in my mind, okay? And you look up with those kind of eyes and awe, like thinking that's pretty cool. That's a great moment. You see how that triggered a response in you guys?
Yeah.
That's what we're looking for.
Yep.
Molly, you tell me one.
Thinking. I remember a moment because I'm from the East Coast, and when my dad and I went outside and we raked all the leaves in the middle of the yard,
Yeah?
and then I jumped in them and they went everywhere.
Oh, that's beautiful. That's a great shot.
That's a good one too.
Leaf jumping. What do we call
I
that?
don't know what that's called.
No, that's awesome.
Like those crunchy brown leaves.
Yeah,
Yes,
that's it.
from
Rolled
fall,
around in them, and
right?
my dad was there
Yeah, it's
breaking
awesome.
them back up.
So it's not so much the raking part. I think it's this pile and a little girl jumping in and making this huge splash. Like, that talks about your spirit. You're a little wild child,
Yeah.
You did all this work, hours of raking, and you just do that. And then your dad gives you a look, but then he smiles like, okay,
Yeah.
you're only a child once. That was awesome. But one thing that I was thinking about, not that this ever happened to me, I'm just saying, because I can imagine things. Imagine a low angle shot, the camera's dolling into the kitchen. It's one of these old fashioned kitchens, right? Your mom has her apron on. She pulls open the oven and she pulls out this freshly baked tray of cookies. And then the camera pushes in and we swing and follow in anticipation. So we don't literally see the bride as a girl, we imply it. That's another shot. Like the smell, the bake, the gloves.
Yeah, you can smell the
It's
shot.
old school, right?
Yeah.
You can smell it. You guys know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
And it's universal. So I'm right, baking. I have one more thought here. One other thought, which is, and I do this, if you've lived in a house long enough, this is a classic shot from movies, and these are things that when I see, I make a point to catalog it in my mind. I want to catalog it in my mind. When you're growing up, every month or every couple of months, your mom or your dad will take a ruler and mark it on the wall and write the date. So imagine the bride comes back and she touches the wall, and that little touch with her hand against the wall and the markings on the wall really reconnect memories. And then you can do cuts to a bunch of different abstract things, right?
I like that.
Like a report card or a book or a first kiss or a first car, a pet, something else, something significant.
I think I'm
something
gonna steal that
fun.
idea.
Well,
that sounds like something.
this is what we're doing. I thought you're the expert, Mark.
I didn't think of that example specifically.
Okay, so this is about like growing taller, okay? So there's things that we can use. Okay, now, let's put this together. All right, I'm gonna zoom out. Here we go. Well, now I wanna zoom in, sorry. Zoom in, there we go. So as an independent videographer, what we're doing is mind mapping. We're mapping what Mark knows from pre-production, story, cinematography, and post-production. So he could write a very broad article, or he can shoot a video and say, the 4 things that you need to know to create an amazing video is you have to have pre-production, story, cinematography, and post-production. And the thing that I want to dive in deep, cut back to me, the thing that I want to do is dive in deep is the story part. This is the heart and soul of everything that you do. And in story, I've broken it down to anticipation, the first meeting, the ceremony, and the celebration. And I'm going to focus right now on anticipation. So each one of these things can become a piece of content for you, right? You can say that while you're walking around, pay attention to the little subtlety, the subtle things that happen in life, and where a koi fish can represent something else. And you can write an article, you can include an image, you can do an illustration. You can even do an illustration like this one if you wanted to. And I'm gonna turn this back on. You guys can do this, and you can say, what we want to do is to build up the anticipation of the bride and the groom meeting. We want to go back in time to recreate some of these experiences. And I bet you if you started to do this, people are going to fall in love with you as a videographer and as a storyteller, Mark. And you're going to see your rates go up like crazy. Now, why is it beneficial for us to be sitting down and talking about how to break down and mind map your process so you can teach other people? Well, first of all, by teaching other people, you start to build a following. You start to build a social following. You establish expertise. But the most important thing is you actually become a better cinematographer and a better storyteller. When you have to sit down and evaluate your own process and share it with somebody else in hopes that you're going to teach them how to do it, you yourself become better. Okay, I think you guys understand what's going on. We can continue this dialogue, but let's turn this over to some questions on Facebook or on YouTube, which we're looking at.
There's no
questions?
I mean, there's just people saying thank you. They love that what you do.
Okay.
Let's see.
Well, that's
Someone
nice.
a while ago said, "Why share something that?" They said, what do they say?
Like it's a secret?
Yeah, like why share what you do? But then someone else responded because that you give it back in the world, and thank you, Chris, for being so grateful and giving back. So.
Well, I am very grateful. And
sharing your knowledge.
You know, when I was a younger person, I would probably think that this is a trade secret and that I need to hoard the tools. If I had a book of references or I watched a video that few people hadn't seen, and then I'm going to hold on to that because that was my competitive advantage. That is very detrimental. I'll tell you why. You think now your secret weapon is a book or a video that you've seen. So your whole identity now is built around something that's not you. Something happens. Everybody sees the book. It gets exposed. Well, that means now you're less than, right? And this is a dangerous thing in terms of eroding your own self-confidence. I'll tell you something, you guys, and this is no secret. I've been a Frank Miller fan for a really, really long time. All the way from The Dark Knight Returns, all the way on up to Sin City. This is way before 300 was made, before Sin City the film was made. And I just fell in love with the aesthetic of black and white composition, the way Frank drew and the stories that he told in this pulp fiction noir kind of story. I loved it. And I exploited it because I'm heavily influenced by him and other artists in my world. And few people knew. So when we did something, everybody thought, wow, that was really cool, fresh, original. And then Sin City comes out, and now everybody's exposed to this high contrast black and white look. Luckily for me, I never defined myself as the guy who knew Frank Miller before everybody else, because then that would destroy me. That would destroy my self-confidence. And rather than do that, if I'm sharing it with the world, I grow more. And I promise you guys this. I promise you this. If you think you have a trade secret, share it. Share it with strangers. Give it away. Give it away freely. More good will come back to you. This channel is evidence of that. And I forgot to mention this at the top of the show, you guys. I am truly grateful for everybody who's participated, who's purchased the product, because we just smashed our sales goals. We just blew them out of the water. Our highest sales period was in May, and we doubled it in July. I just saw right before getting on the show somebody donating $5, somebody donating, somebody buying something, or somebody just sending me their life story. That's why I do this. And it's led to way more positive things than it's ever hurt me. I can't remember, I'm honestly saying this, I can't remember when I've given something away like this for free where it's come back to hurt me. Where somebody uses what I'm doing to compete against me in a way that I can't compensate for. That doesn't make sense to me, you guys. So we got to get over that. This is not a zero-sum game. Because you win doesn't mean that I lose. There's so much for us all to share and profit from, okay? So let's get over that idea of hoarding information. Let's share it and give it away freely.
I love that. Thank you, Chris.
Yeah, I like
Thank
that
you.
too.
Love it.
Should we, is there
That's
music?
a good
is there-
philosophy.
Is there anything?
No, we had a good question following
We
up
do?
here.
Okay.
So Rachel Fibish, she's asking, does traditional teaching in a classroom hold to these same rules that you're teaching right now?
What does that mean?
Like, as far
Hold.
as-
What do you think that means?
Like, as far as you're breaking down the process in the same way that you just kind of analyze how I do a video, would you take those same steps and use them in a classroom environment versus online?
Well, that's like too many questions in one. That's like a double layered
Well,
question.
hold on. Break it down. What questions were in there? 'Cause
Well,
I only
first
heard
of all,
one.
I heard the first question was, do people teach the way I teach? I don't know. Right? And the other question was, the way that I'm teaching now and talking about this, was that the way I taught? And so I think Molly is going to be the best person to answer that question. So Molly, why don't you describe that?
The way that you're teaching right now,
Yeah.
yes, I think that of course it's different in a classroom because it's a lot more one-on-ones, but I feel like you definitely are trying to figure out how to use the same structure and ways that you teach and bring it into this internet world with there's so many people, but you try, you do Zoom calls, you answer questions,
Yeah.
you try and do the best that you can without being physically in the classroom.
Right. So there are some really magical things that happen in the classroom. I wish the Futur and our entire team were around back when I was still teaching in a classroom, and I'm going to talk about those differences right now, okay? First of all, the energy that I get from students and the questions I ask, that is pure magic. I love it. My classes would last 5 hours. So these broadcasts that would last for an hour and a half, that's nothing for me. 5 hours is where we get into it and we dive deep. And it's usually a classroom of, say, anywhere between 6 to 12 people. And we would get together, and I don't have a giant game plan. I sit down and I react. So if a student says, I had a hard time coming up with an idea for this, or do you think this idea was good or bad? Then we start to talk about, well, what constitutes a good idea versus a bad idea? And I ask them these questions. And a lot of the way that I teach, it's called the Socratic method from Socrates, which is a very question-based way of helping people figure out the problem for themselves. The old way, the way that I was taught, was you would show some work and somebody would critique you. They would say, this is wrong, move that, do this and do that. And you would walk away. Sometimes you would be able to figure it out, but oftentimes you're just as stuck as you were before the class. It's really clear inside the class, but once you get out, it becomes much, much more difficult to figure out. So what I'm trying to do is to share the framework, the way I look at things and the way I break things down with the student, so they can break it down in a way that makes sense for them. So they can then become their own art director. And then that's what I think I meant when I told Molly, by the end of this class, you should be able to teach this class. It's not about the details, it's about the framework. And you know me, I love frameworks, okay? That's not a program, it's just a structure, a matrix, a rubric, something like that. Okay. And the only other difference now is when we're teaching you guys through YouTube and through Facebook and through Twitch, and the reason why I'm doing this is I wanted to scale. I don't want it to be just limited to people who have means, who have access, because it's very expensive to go to a private art school. I'm trying to recreate as much as possible the classroom experience. That's why today I just plopped down $1,000 to buy this Cintiq. It is because in class we would do these whiteboard sessions and we would draw, and I like to think by drawing, explain ideas through drawing, and that is somewhat lost. So that's why we're bringing this in. Okay, is there another question?
I just wanted to give a shout out to a guy named Riyadh. He just gave us a super chat.
Nice, thank you, Riyadh.
Yeah.
Did he have a question or a comment or anything?
No,
he
just
wanted to
the
support.
cash, yeah.
All right, cool.
Someone asked, maybe we can do 5 hours online.
People are complaining about 20-minute videos, let alone a 5-hour class online. Now we'll do classes online, but not like this. It'll be shot, it'll be edited, there will be chapters, and it'll be indexed so that you guys can power through it. That makes a lot more sense. We're working on these kinds of ideas.
Also, Chris for president. There you go.
But thank you. Okay, so I can't be president because I wasn't born in the United States, just technically speaking. And you know how they decide who's the president? The guy who's taller, the guy who has more hair.
Really?
So I've already lost, you guys. I've already lost. I'm not gonna be able to do that. Okay, here's what we're gonna do. I'm gonna cue you guys up here. If you're really passionate about something, if you got a crazy hobby, if you like rock climbing, if you like exercise or Pilates, if you like design, architecture, photography, and you're really, really passionate about it, and you feel like you're somewhat of an expert, you want help in breaking down your process so that you can teach other people, hit me up on Facebook right now, okay? I'm going to go onto Facebook.
We just opened the phone lines.
Okay, the phone lines are open. Go on to Facebook, and you can messenger me. If you're a friend, if we've already been connected, do it so, like now. I'm going to accept these people. Hopefully this is not like one of those crazy internet scam ones. Sometimes I accidentally hit those. You know what I'm talking about? Yeah, you know what I'm talking about.
The ones that look like they're too good to be true.
Explain yourself. What do you mean too good to be true, Aaron?
Well, it's just, I don't know. Now you make me explain the joke, it takes the magic out of it, man.
The robot followers?
Yeah. You're like, she is too hot to be trying to friend me right now. Is that what you're saying?
Exactly.
All right. Whoever gets in first, Facebook Messenger me, audio call me, or video call me, and let's do this. Guys, we're doing a little different. Here we go. Joe Rodriguez is calling. I'm going to answer him right now. Here we go. Turn his mic on.
Yep, mic is on.
Click allow. I'm going to allow. Joe. What up? Can you hear me?
Yeah, hello.
Hey.
Hey, it's Joe.
Yo, Joe, what's up? Say hello to the people. Tell them where you're from, Joe.
I'm actually currently sitting in El Paso, Texas, but I've been living in Houston for the past 15 years or so.
Okay. Are you going to turn on your camera or no?
Gosh, it's the first time I do this, man. Let me see.
There's a little camera icon.
I've got to turn down the volume from the stream. Hold
Yeah,
on.
turn that down so we don't get the feedback. You'll kill me on that.
Good idea.
Good thinking. And Aaron, maybe we cut to my face instead of looking at this thing for now? Or your guys' face? Yeah, that's cool. All right.
Let's see here. Can you hear me still?
Yep.
Yeah, we can still hear you, man. We're
How do I
loud and
turn my
proud.
camera on?
All right, forget about the camera.
Yeah, let's
Man,
go.
technology
Okay,
is going to fail us every
here
single
it
time.
goes.
Oh, are you going to
Here
turn it
we
on?
go. Yeah, there we go.
There we are.
Nice.
Okay.
All
right, man.
Hey.
Okay, so what we're going to do now is we're going to talk about what you do, and I'm going to help you break it down so that you can teach other people. So what are you really passionate about, Joe, from El Paso?
Photography. Yeah.
Photography.
Yeah.
Awesome.
And I shot weddings for a long time, so I could kind of relate to what you guys were talking about, the videography part. I've not done videography. My little nephew, though, who resides here in El Paso, he's getting into videography as well, so I think he might be watching right now.
Okay, let's focus up, Joe. You want to teach people photo or videography?
No, photography.
Photography.
And I did a live Facebook feed
Yep.
last week
Yep.
with a local group here, and I got real good response. But then I had some haters, and I had some people just like, "What is this dude trying to sell us?" And just really just got under my skin a bit.
Okay, pause on that. Pause on that. I want to talk about the haters, the trolls. Okay. Oh,
Haters gonna hate.
I gotta get into it now. All right. I gotta get into it. Okay. Here we go. Deep breath. Okay. We are conditioned, Joe, to be sold to all the time. People are always trying to sell us stuff, right? And so whenever you see something, there's a catch. What's the catch? And we hear this all the time. We do no hard sales, or maybe we will today, but we're not really creating these videos because we're gonna stop the video at the best point and then say, to see the rest of the video, pay $5.99 or whatever the price is, right? So just take that with a grain of salt. We're preconditioned. You and I are both this way, and they're gonna say whatever they're gonna say. You just stay the course. You deliver value. You teach people. You enroll and build a community around the things that you love, and filter the rest out as best as you can, okay? And if you can't read the comments because it's just messing your creative soul up, just don't even read them. I know that there are a lot of actors and actresses who are at the A level. They cannot read reviews of their films because it messes them up. What makes a creative person great is vulnerability. And that's the thing that these haters and these people who are internet warriors that hide behind the screen in total anonymity, they just throw things out without regard for the other person. So if you can't handle it, don't read it. It's totally okay.
All right.
Okay.
Excellent. Yeah.
Or I'll teach you something else later if we have some time about how to take negative comments and make it positive. It's a game I play with my son. He loves it. He's not very good at it, but he loves it. Okay.
Awesome.
Aaron, I may be running out of juice in a little bit. I just want to prep you so that we have a power cable for your laptop. I'm down to 35% power.
Okay.
Just giving you a heads up, I'm still finding power. Okay, we're going to talk about photography. So I'm going to switch over to Photoshop. So you can talk to me, but I can't hear you. I can't see you, okay? I'm going to turn off my video camera because you don't really need to see that, okay? I'm going to switch over to Photoshop. Okay, let's break down your thing. What kind of photography do you do?
Over the last couple of years, I've done like some fine art stuff. Real heavy in the black and white fine art type of stuff. But the bulk of my experience was in wedding photography.
Okay, black and white fine art. But like, are these still lives? Are they nature photography? What are we talking about here?
Recently I've been doing like a lot of urban stuff. I just came out here from Houston, and I was doing a lot of urban stuff. Just skyline type of stuff, but just shooting from a different angle, shooting on the move.
Okay, but with or without people?
Without people. I was shooting from the car.
Okay, so like urban. When I say without people, there's no people in your shots. It's just building, architecture, fire hydrants, that kind of stuff. Perfect.
Right, exactly.
So we call that still life? What do we call that? What's the language?
You can call it still life, but I mean, I was literally driving while I was shooting, and it was almost like I called them Hail Mary shots, and just trying to, I'd compose.
Okay, I get it. Look, I'm gonna design your course right now, dude. Check this out. We're gonna call this Urban Run and Gun. Yeah?
That's awesome.
That's what you're doing, man. That's what we're gonna call it. So let's
right.
Let's just focus in because there are a million people teaching photography to everybody all the time, right? And so you have to stand out. And I'm feeling like you got something special here, and let's take advantage of it, right? So let's call it Urban Run and Gun. How Joe teaches people to shoot fine art photography on the run, literally. Okay, let's break this down. Okay, you with me?
Yeah.
Let's break it down. So what are the 3 or 5 things that you think somebody needs to know to be successful at this? Let's break it down. High level stuff. Start from the top. What do you think?
Obviously, you're understanding exposure, understanding light.
So there's like there's these technical things, right?
Yeah, you got to have your camera set up technically.
Okay.
Because you're not always looking in the viewfinder.
Okay. Right. You're right. Okay, good one. Oops. Did I unplug myself? Mark, I didn't get the power. I don't know if you're going to plug me in or not. He's figuring something out. Okay, so there's tech. Okay, what else?
Composition, for sure. And then breaking the rules of the typical rules of
Okay, composition. Perfect. Composition. Okay. Composition. Technology. Okay, what else?
Great driving skills.
You gotta learn how to drive. Okay, maybe we can just call like, okay, I got it. I need to redo this. I'm gonna hit erase. I'm gonna erase this part. You can still see the screen, yeah? Even though the audio's not there? Can you see?
I can't see what you're writing. I see.
You can't? Okay.
Let me see here.
Yeah, just if you can switch over to YouTube, you can see what I'm drawing.
I see it.
So we have the tech, and then we have techniques. So I'm gonna change the wording in a second, because we're doing this live. It's
Alright.
never that smooth, you know. So let me turn on the eraser and erase this part. So let's go back to exposure, since exposure seems super specific. What kind of category can we use instead of saying exposure? Exposure, focus, all. I mean, there's a lot of different things, right? Aperture, ISO, all those kinds of things.
Right, right.
So this is like camera settings, or what are we talking about here?
Yeah, your screen just went off here. Well, the exposure triangle, knowing what your ISO is,
Okay.
shutter speed, and your f-stop.
Shutter speed, ISO, and f-stop. Perfect. Okay, those are the fundamentals. And this is going to be specific for run and gun style shooting. Okay, so we got composition, we got techniques, exposure, anything else you can think of. 3 to 5 is good. So if this is the 3, we work with this.
Yeah, I think that's all just off the top of my head.
Okay. That'll work. That'll work. Let me draw a line here. Okay. Now, of these 3, which would you like to start with that is most important, the juiciest thing that we can bite down on? What do you think?
I wasn't prepared, Chris.
Well, nobody. Okay, composition.
And breaking the rules of.
Are you sure it's composition and not techniques?
Okay, techniques.
I talked you into it. All right. Let me tell you why. Because there's certain rules of composition, but you can't really control it. You really can't. Right? Oh, I know another box we can add here. So there's exposure, there's techniques, and maybe there's gear. You need certain kind of gear.
Well, here's the deal. Most of the recent shots that I was doing, and I was challenging myself. I was shooting them with my phone.
Oh, really?
Yeah. It was like I've got to be able to pull it off. And I had some people look at it and they're like, "Dude, you shot that with your phone?" It's like, yeah, I took what I learned in photography and learned how to manipulate it.
Okay. We'll put a pause on that. We're not going to really dive into gear because a lot of people can talk about gear, but
Right.
I know people who have really cool rigs that they suction cup mount onto their window. Okay? And then they roll down their window and they pivot at 90 degrees and they're ready to go to shoot outside the window. And they have a remote shutter release so they can keep their hands close to the wheel and not have to bend and contort in weird ways. So there's another level of doing this. But let's just talk about techniques, okay? In terms of like when you're in the car, what are you trying to do? Give us some of the big 3 to 5 ideas there.
What am I trying to do? I'm trying to capture the scene that most people see, but they're not able to capture it.
Give me more information than that.
Ask me again. Maybe I misunderstood that.
Okay, I've never really thought of urban run and gun photography. So you've done a lot of trial and error and things that have worked from the car position, right? So let's break down what kind of techniques you got. What do you need to be mindful of when you're out there? Imagine this. Imagine I'm your protege, okay? Imagine I'm your protege, and we have to be at 2 locations at the same time. That means you're going to go to one location, I'm going to go to another, and you have to tell me, yo, Chris, get in the car. I need you to do these 4 things. First of all, if you do this, you won't crash your car. This is what we're looking for, and these are some tips and techniques or ideas that you can use to make to have a more successful photo experience.
Well, first of all, I mean, obviously being constantly aware of your surroundings, making sure that you're not going to run into somebody, keeping your eyes on the road. That's,
okay.
I think, the
Okay,
obvious.
so what we're going to say is be safe, okay?
Right.
Okay, what else?
Right. But back to the technique is understanding that the plane and how, PLANE, and PLANE, the plane of focus, or the plane of, the image, and how you're tilting your camera or your phone.
Okay, right.
So just practicing that, like I said, I used to call them the Hail Mary shots. And I learned that technique. I taught myself that technique years ago when I was doing like street photography.
Mm-hmm.
And you're photographing people on the street, but you're shooting from your hip. You're literally shooting from your hip or from your waist.
Okay,
And
so
this was before the flip screens.
are you
So
trying
you're
to keep
kind of,
it vertical and
yeah,
not
keep it
okay?
vertical or the angle that you prefer.
Okay, okay. All
So
right.
I try to use a lot of negative space.
So that's getting into composition.
Right.
So let's just focus on techniques. So the plane is really important. You're moving. If you're holding your phone or whatever it is, there's weird angles and you need to be very mindful of that. Okay, so that's cool. So we want to kind of keep it somewhat level or be intentional about it. Okay. What else?
Always looking at the light, paying attention to the light. I mean, 20 feet down the road, the light's going to change.
Okay, so lighting. Okay. Next. Anything else? These are pretty good.
No, I mean, it's kind of become second nature to me. I've done it so much
Right.
that it's become second nature, and I don't put thought behind it in terms of teaching somebody how to do it.
Right.
But yeah,
So-
you give me a lot to think about.
Okay, hold on one second, Joe. So, see, at the very beginning of the show, we talked about this. We talked about how when you do something so often and you've put in the thousands or hundreds of hours into mastering your craft, you do it almost as natural as breathing and walking. You know, if you focus on breathing, it's actually harder to breathe versus just doing it, right? So this is
Right.
kind of like you trying to explain somebody how to breathe.
Right.
And
Right,
I'm the
exactly.
amateur here. I'm the rookie. I don't do this. This is not what I think about all day and night. So that's why I gave you that example of think about it as if you had to tell me, who's a neophyte in photography, what I need to be mindful of. First and foremost, the rule has to be safe. Don't hit anybody, don't hurt yourself, don't break any laws. That's got to be really important, right?
Right.
Because
Absolutely.
it doesn't matter if you don't come back with a shot, that's fine. But if you hurt somebody, if you crash into a building, that's
It's
really, really bad news, okay?
Yeah.
Be mindful of the plane, the picture plane, whether you want to be level or an angle, be deliberate and be intentional. Understand that as the car is moving, your lighting is going to change all the time. It's variable lighting. Got to think about that. Is there anything else you can give us as a tip? Should I hold the camera closer to me to kind of keep it more stable so it doesn't whip? Or is there anything else you can think of?
Or even mounting it on a
Okay.
mounting it on a God. I don't know the name for it, but you know what Casey Neistat uses, that Gorilla
Yeah.
bendable.
Adobe Gorilla Pod?
Yeah, I have something similar to that. It's a little
Okay.
bit smaller,
Okay.
but I have something similar to that. So it just gives me good ergonomics.
Oh, okay. So we will say mounts and grips, okay? Is that all right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. Is there anything else? Because 4 is pretty good, unless you can come up with one more.
Now, and the phone that I use, you can program it to like voice activation. So I'm not actually hitting the button. I'll say a word, and it'll snap the picture.
Okay. All right. So this is hands-free then?
Yeah, to a certain degree.
Well,
One hand on the wheel,
right.
one on the tripod.
Okay. Perfect. So that's pretty good. Right, there we are. Now, of these 5 things, what should we focus on for your first article? Should we talk about the lighting? That sounds really exciting to me. Do you want to talk about mounts and grips or hands-free or the plane or how to be safe?
I think I'm going to say lighting, because that's everything.
It is everything. It is everything. Okay, so let's break down lighting now. What can we talk about in terms of lighting? Break that down for me. What are we looking for, Joe?
High contrast.
Okay. High contrast. That's the net result, but am I looking for something when I'm driving around?
Well, high contrast, lots of brights, lots of shadows. And there's that overdone, golden hour, and it's like, nah, shoot at high noon.
Yeah. Right.
For this particular type of stuff, because I'm shooting structures. So definition and depth is, very important.
Oh, so are you saying that it's better to shoot at golden hour or not?
Not.
It's the opposite of what you think, right? It's counterintuitive.
Yes, exactly.
Okay.
It's almost pushing that creative limit, like with composition. Let's not do the typical rule of thirds. Let's take it to an extreme.
Okay, I get it. Time of day. You need it to be bright. You need it to be contrasty. So shooting at noon is best for you. Okay, what else?
How that plane So to a certain degree, some of these images are shot on auto, obviously, because I'm, one hand on the wheel, one hand on the tripod.
Right.
So I've got to preset it, but manipulating what the light sensor is picking up. So by the tilt,
Okay, we're still focused on lighting right now, yeah?
yes, exactly. That's
So settings? What are we talking about?
um
All right, I'm gonna help you out here. I'm gonna help you out, okay? I can see like this is totally unrehearsed. This is why the show's called Raw, right?
Totally.
And you're gonna feel a little raw after this, okay? That's all right. It's all right. Okay. So when we're focused on lighting, I want you to keep thinking about your nephew, your cousin, somebody who's not a photographer. You're gonna say, look, when you go out to shoot, I want you to shoot around noon, and I'll tell you why. What else are we looking for? Are we looking for openings within the skyline? What are we looking for in terms of lighting? What are the moments? Remember, to the untrained person, they don't know when to pull that trigger.
Right.
They don't know
right.
which direction to drive in, or what should I be in the lane closest to the street or not, or what am I shooting through the opposite window, the passenger window? What am I looking for in terms of lighting? Focus on that.
God, that's a tough one. Because again, it's all happening at one time, and I'm doing this stuff on the freeway.
Oh my God, it's getting crazier and crazier.
Dude, it's intense. It's a rush. I got to tell you.
You know what? You probably need to buy a semi-autonomous car. I think that's the only safe way. So, all right. So I'm not gonna just belabor this here, but let's just do this, okay?
Yeah.
So what we want to do is fill in these parts. Let's say there's 3. This is a good tip. And we're still missing number 2. We got to get number 3 in there. Then once we're able to do that, okay, then,
Go ahead.
all right, then you can write a little article. So check this out. So here we go. I'm going to do my best to put this all into perspective here, and we're going to start to wrap up the show. I see it's getting late already. I don't want to keep my guys here too long. Okay, here we go. So you show a collection of images of your urban run and gun photography. And the big surprise is, hey, most of this was shot on my iPhone. And the biggest thing that I can tell you about shooting run and gun photography in the urban landscape is to consider lighting and time of day. And then you would get into all those parts and pieces. And if you want to know more, next time we'll talk about how to be safe, because that's ultimately what is paramount, your health, and not jeopardizing other people. And you can tell a couple of stories about how you got this one shot, about what freeway you were on, and you can draw a little map and you can show the angle. Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely.
So maybe we can include breakdowns. Okay, with maps, orientation, time of day, that kind of stuff. I think that would be pretty cool.
All right.
Okay?
Yeah, love it. No, it's great.
That makes sense?
Yeah.
So this
100%.
is just the raw bones. Of course, when you do this, sit down, think about it a little bit more, and then put it away. Don't look at it for 12 hours. You need separation. Okay. You need objectivity. I've found that this works really well for me. Sometimes you fall in love with what you do. Sometimes you hate what you do. Give it 12 hours. It's a cooling off period, before you make any big decisions. If it's garbage and you should throw it away, or it's amazing and it was as good as you thought it was. Okay? And do that for your own sanity, for your own health and happiness. And Joe, I'm going to end the call. I wish you well. Thanks for tuning in today. Thanks for being so fast on the gun. You got in, man. Somebody else is trying to get in, but
thank you guys.
Thank you, man.
All right.
I
thought we were going to design sandwiches, but
no. Hold on. I can design you a photography sandwich. Okay, check this out. All right, we're not done. Hold on. You hang on there. Since you said that, we're going to design a sandwich right now.
It's happening.
It's going to happen right now. Let's design a sandwich. Okay, a sandwich has 2 pieces of bread, right?
Oh, look at that.
So here we go. We're going to have that bread, and I'm going to say this is probably your subject, maybe. We're going to hold it in there, and at the top, we're going to have like some skyline. This is an interesting sandwich. Can you see my drawing? Okay.
No, I've got a couple of screens open, and I'm trying to figure out. I can hear you clearly, but I can't see.
Yeah. Close some of your screens, man. Okay.
I can't tell what's real time though.
Yeah, there's a little delay. So I'm drawing in the lights. That's your bread. That's the subject matter. We can do something in the middle here. What's the meat? What's the meat here? You were talking about contrast. Contrast is very important. Contrast. So you got to make sure that's right. And we talked about the plane. Maybe that's the salad, the lettuce, the plane. No, I'm just messing around, you guys. I don't know what I'm doing here. Designing weird sandwiches.
And the lighting's the cheese.
The lighting is the cheese. The sauce. That's a secret sauce right there. The sauce. This, what is that called? Special sauce? That's lighting.
Special sauce, lettuce, cheese.
Yeah, pickles, onions, you know, that kind of stuff. There you go.
Sesame seed bun.
That's the ugliest sandwich. Okay, that was a horrible metaphor. I don't know who said make sandwiches. Okay, anyways, be well, Joe. I'm going to wrap out here. I'm going to close you out. I'm going to say goodbye to our audience, answer a few questions. Thanks for tuning in. Okay?
Appreciate it.
Yeah,
Thanks, man.
you're welcome, man. I will say goodbye to you. Goodbye. There I am. See that? Can you see me?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, man. Be well.
Thanks, brother. Appreciate
Bye.
it. Thanks.
That was Joe Rodriguez from El Paso, Texas. Right? El Paso, Texas. Okay, somebody wanted to video chat with me. I'm not doing any more video chats, you guys, because it is 7 o'clock. We got started a little bit late. I do want to tell you guys a few things about tomorrow. Tomorrow. What are we doing tomorrow? We are going to do another Facebook live stream. We're going to talk about designing the future of education. Everybody's been asking about, can you put together a curriculum to help people who are self-learning? What do we need to learn? So we're gonna design it. We're gonna sit down. We're gonna draw it. We're gonna map it out. It's gonna be interactive. We're gonna do that via Zoom. Okay. If you want to join us in the group, I can hold as many as 100 people on the live Zoom call tomorrow at 11 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. You have to wear a mask. You have to wear some kind of mask. All right. So go out and buy a mask. Make a mask. I don't care. I'm only gonna let people in the room that have a mask. That's your ticket to. That's your ticket to enter. That's it.
Wait, what kind of mask?
Any kind of mask. I'll be wearing my mask. I have lots of
What
masks.
mask? Oh, you got some cool masks.
I got some masks, dude.
You got some
Trust
cool
me,
ones.
I got some masks. I have to figure out which ones I can wear while doing the show. All right. You guys, let's open up to some any comments. You guys wrap up and review. What do we got? Anything?
We have some donations.
Yay,
here
donations. Woo!
From Andy, Oscar, and I don't know, how do you say Macby? I don't know how to say
McCoy.
that.
Mac XBI.
Yes.
Oh.
I don't know. And these guys, they're competing for donations. They're trying to one-up each other.
It's like a auction.
Yeah,
It's like an
hey,
auction going
Hey,
on.
I like that game. Keep doing it. What are we doing? Where are we at? What's the highest bid? What are
Oh,
we
it's
doing?
huge, dude. These numbers are big.
Is
it $9?
$9 here?
$9? Awesome. Thank you, man. Woo!
6, 5, 4, 3,
They built
2.
it up from 2, so they're like, all right, I'll put 2, you put 3, and I'll put 4. And it just went up.
All right. You guys, thanks for donating. I know you don't have to, so obviously from the bottom of my heart, I say thank you. And I know some of our own team members, we have this whole debate about whether or not you should tip or not. So this is a form of tipping. Aaron's shaking his head.
Never tip.
Never tip?
Never,
You
ever
cheap
tip.
rat.
Yeah.
You cheap rat. That's why you're not a customer of ours. You're better off just shooting the videos and doing everything that I don't do. Is there anything else? Is there anything of substance on Facebook? Is anybody commenting or saying anything? Otherwise, we're going to wrap it up.
There's a good question. I happened to
Okay.
look over on Molly's
All right, go ahead. What is it?
computer. It's just like, let's say, I mean, it's like everything's been done already. So how can you find that like nuanced, cool thing that you can teach? That's not
Oh.
the, how can I get that?
Who
part?
has that question?
Some really smart guy here
Where's
on the internet.
what's his name?
Molly, what's his name?
Where'd you read that?
You know what?
Something worth knowing? This?
Something worth knowing. Yeah,
Yeah.
Riyadh.
The one who donated
Yeah, he
earlier.
donated earlier.
Oh, okay, Riyadh. That's a super smart question. And I have to just point out for a moment here. Aaron has like bionic eyes. The fact that he doesn't even have a laptop and he read Molly's question over her shoulder, that's scary, dude.
I think some of that smart credit should go this way too, because I kind of saw the question, but whatever.
That's what he's doing right now.
I was just trying to
Yeah.
acknowledge something.
Oh, I thought you said Riyadh was a smart
No,
guy.
He said that you have bionic eyes.
The irony of
Giving
What
you
is-
that.
okay.
I'm cutting the show here. I'm just asking questions, man.
Alright.
You know, a wise man told me, quit while you're ahead. And when a man's about to pay you a compliment, just shut the F up.
Yeah,
Just
why
shut
didn't you guys
up.
stop me while I was
Shut up.
making a
We
fool
wanted
of
to see you go
myself?
down.
If you give Aaron enough rope, he will go down. Just trust me, he'll go down. That's me giving him rope. That's not throwing money at him, okay? Just giving him rope, okay? Okay, excellent question. Everything's been done. Everything under the sun has been done. So who are you now to sit there and say, I want to teach this thing? Here's the cool part. Jim Rohn, one of the influential people in terms of business philosophy, he's taught it all. He said it all. People who are writing books today are quoting him. So here's the thing. You have a unique personality, a style of delivery, and an audience that you connect to. So they're going to find the information more interesting just coming from you. So there are 1,000, 100,000 photographers in the world. But as of right now, I've never heard of anybody doing urban photography at the window with their iPhone. And that's the unique perspective. So you get to tell the story and teach the lesson in your own style and tone. Take, for example, this channel, right? I'm not telling you anything new because I didn't get it from nothing. I got it from reading a book, from life experience, from being coached, from watching a TV show. These are all moments and fragments in my mind that I'm putting together for you to watch, to consume. And I'm assuming if you're watching this channel, the way that I say it, the way we produce it with the background and all that kind of stuff, that connects to you. Maybe you just like bald Asian guys and that works for you. That's cool. Luckily for me. And if you like Swedish dudes talking about design or making sandwiches, then you tune into that person. It's all the same information. It's about style and delivery and about combining things to make it different. So I can tell a story that's culturally unique just to me and my own life experiences that nobody else can say. And I sprinkle those things in. That's how I do it, okay? So do it your way. Or is that Burger King?
That's Subway, I believe.
Have it your way is Subway. No? It's Burger King?
Have it your
whatever.
way.
All right.
Or Wendy's or whatever. Anyways.
All right. Is that it for us, you guys?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just wanted to ask a quick question
Go
to
ahead, man.
someone named Herbert William.
Why are you laughing at Herbert William?
Because he said, Aaron, they pay $300 for Mario Kart gameplays, man. And I'm like, why do you say that? That's like, I do play a lot of Mario Kart, but where's
I know
that
why
coming
they say
from?
that.
Stop
I know
it.
why they're saying that. I believe he's saying that because people are paying $300 to watch other people play Mario Kart. Is that what he's saying?
Yeah.
And they're giving us $9. So the value here, it's like
Oh.
got it.
maybe we should be playing video games.
But it's like, how does he know that that's what I do?
I think that's just a coincidence. I
He
believe
follows you.
Yeah.
it's called a
Yeah,
coincidence,
okay.
Aaron. You have a
Anyways,
cyber stalker.
all right.
Don't worry about it. I'll give you Aaron's address later. Just private message me. I know exactly where he lives. I even tell you where he keeps the spare key. So
Under
Aaron,
the rock. Right.
under his car. Okay. Any other thoughts, questions, comments, guys, before we wrap up the show?
Molly, you got something?
I
No, Molly's got nothing. Mark,
it's just
anything?
all-
Nothing else.
All right, guys.
All
That's
right.
it then. You guys be well. I will see you guys that want to tune in tomorrow at 11 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. We're going to talk about the future of education. We're going to design a curriculum together so you guys can take it and you can run with it. I have some ideas on how to do this. Hope you guys enjoyed the show. Smash that like button. Please subscribe. See you guys next time. Let's get out of here. That's it.